with President Trump now in China discussing North Korea. I've read that you had earlier warned or cautioned President Trump, don't play a cowboy on North Korea. The answer is diplomacy. Do you think that President Trump is going to be able to tone down that rhetoric and deal diplomatically with North Korea on the nuclear issue?
Well, first of all, thank you. Very good to be with you. Listen, I think we have to have a diplomatic solution to this whole nuclear issue with North Korea. North Korea knows what we know and what all our allies know, is that any type of preemptive military strike by the United States on North Korea would be devastating, first to South Korea and Japan, two of our greatest allies, where hundreds of thousands of Americans also live, as well as military personnel. With the number of missiles that are pointed at South Korea right now, you would have within minutes hundreds of thousands of people killed, and within hours or days, millions killed. We also have a report that just came out from our own military that said there would be no way for us to even get to the nuclear weapons, even if we could, unless we use some type of ground forces. And again, so we're talking about great devastation there, great humanity devastation. So yes, the diplomatic route is the route we have to take. Our president is, he likes to bluster. I will say this, the folks around him, his advisors, I think are very sane and reasonable. I think they understand what the consequences would be of a military action. And so I think talking with China, obviously we've been talking with Japan and South Korea because we have to be on the same team. But it is China who most likely can have the most influence on North Korea, and we've got to get them to put that pressure on North Korea to get to the table to discuss, at least, at minimum, a freeze of their nuclear research.
Representative Frankel, I want to ask you just a quick follow-up on that. As you point to, there are some different perspectives coming out of the White House on how to deal with North Korea, and President Trump very notably and maybe most memorably tweeted at his own Secretary of State to put diplomacy aside. Do you think that the key officials in the White House are even on the same page as to how to deal with North Korea? And what does that say to Pyongyang if the U.S. is not sending one clear message?
It's very difficult for me to explain the behavior, the actions of the President of the United States. We don't know one day from another what he's going to tweet. But I do believe that his national security team does understand that diplomacy is really what has to be the end game here.
Congresswoman, the White House coming now firmly on the side of Saudi Arabia against Iran today. I know that you did oppose the initial Iran nuclear agreement, but you have since said that the President Trump, the White House, is in a sense manufacturing a crisis with Iran on that agreement. We now are in a period of apparently rising tensions. How should the U.S., the administration, be dealing with Iran at this stage?
Well, I want to start by saying that, in my opinion and the opinion of many, Iran is the #1 state sponsor of terrorism in the world. Not only in Syria, obviously, in Lebanon, in Yemen, in Iraq. So they cannot be trusted. They are dangerous. And I did oppose initially the agreement, the nuclear agreement, for a number of reasons I won't go into now, but that was then. And now we're in a situation where the agreement has been made. There are many other countries that are involved. And all indications are is that Iran is complying. And so I think what we have to do is to continue to very forcefully make sure, I don't mean forcefully with military, but I mean we have to make sure that they stay in compliance. And we have to continue to put sanctions on them in other areas to try to stop their ballistic missile research, their testing, their terroristic activities all over the world.
Representative Frankel, I want to get your take on one other key policy issue out of the White House, which is Israel. Certainly several here in Israel, particularly in the right wing, but across Israeli parliament, believe that they feel more comfortable with President Trump as president than President Obama. There has been a shift in settlements. There have been several settlements announcements of late. What is your take on this administration vis-a-vis Israel and the Israeli-Palestinian conflict exactly, 10 months since Inauguration Day, 1 year since Election Day?
Well, despite the fact that anybody who's an observer of the United States Congress and United States politics knows that there's a lot of disagreement on a lot of things. One thing that I've always been very pleased about as a member of Congress is the bipartisan support that we've had for Israel here, Republicans and Democrats, and every president really as I look back in the near future. I would say that I don't think it's worthwhile to compare Obama to Trump. I think it's important that both administrations support Israel. I know under President Obama we had tremendous military cooperation with Israel. Our country gave the most money ever to Israel, and I am pleased that our current administration has a relationship of friendship with Israel, and that's the way I think it should be. I think it should be bipartisan, and I'm not into the politics of it.